countdown to the last comic shop in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
'Twas the night before Christmas, and all through the shop, not a hero was emoting, not even Cyclops.
Gene, where are my pants?
The long boxes were stacked by the front door with care, in hopes lots of dollar books would soon appear there.
Score! Darkhawk!
The co-hosts were nestled, all snug in their beds, while visions of omnibuses danced in their heads.
What do you mean the spines are different? One goes out, they all go out!
With an upcoming discussion we hope won't sound half-assed, we welcome you back to a brand new podcast. Yay! Merry Christmas Eve here at the Last Comic Shop Podcast!
I don't want to even ask how long that took you to write.
It's amazing. They have like these websites now where you put in a word and it'll tell you things that rhyme with it, and then it'll also tell you other words that you could potentially use. Podcast was tough, I won't lie.
I knew you didn't know the word emoting.
I am the host with the most, Eddie Larson. I am not as dumb as I look. And I'm joined by my wonderful co-hosts, Jay Scott and Chad Smith, who are always my Christmas presents. Their presence is my presence.
There you go. And I am as dumb as I look. Thank you very much.
And of course, we're joined by somebody that we would never spend the holidays without, and that is our good friend, Michael J. Wood.
I'm the only one that fits the Santa suit. That's it.
You are the one that keeps eating all the cookies.
Oh, they're so good. They're so good. And a hearty Melikilikimaka to all of you. And thanks for bringing me along today.
Yes. If you're wondering what book we're reading this week for our Christmas Eve spectacular, it is a callback to earlier in December, where we had a tournament of all these Tom King books. And what won out of all of our Tom King of the Ring tournaments? That would have been Danger Street. That's right. And so we read Danger Street for this week, and we are now going to review it with your Christmas Read Pile present. So without further ado, let's get to Chad Smith for who created this particular 12-issue maxi series along with Tom King.
Okay. Danger Street, as Andy mentioned, was a 12-issue series that started coming out in 2023 and wrapped up, I want to say earlier this year, but it was written by Tom King, with the primary art duties by Jorge Fornes, and with Dave Stewart on colors, Clayton Cowles on letters, and a wide variety of artists on alternate covers, variant covers, including people like Lee Weeks, Steve Rude, Walt Simonson. There's a whole bevy of really great artists that chipped in on those variant covers.
What was the other Tom King book that we read that Jorge Fornes did with
Rorschach?
That's right. Yes. That's right. Yes. There you go. So make sure that you check that podcast out in our evergreen archives if you happen to like Jorge's art. But without further ado, again, let's get the 10-cent synopsis from Mikey Wood. What happens in these 12 issues? You spend a lot of time on a street named Danger?
Well, yeah, it's Tom King takes a bunch of obscure and some not as obscure characters who appeared in a short-lived DC Comics series called First Issue Special back in the 70s, and drags them all into an interesting sort of murder mystery that has cosmic implications, and it's really interesting stuff. I don't know. He's always a winner with me. I don't think I've ever read a thing that I didn't enjoy by him.
Yeah.
And what did you think of his framing device where he set it all up as fate telling a fairy tale
of knights and dragons
Yeah.
and ogres and princes and princesses.
It's so cool, and it worked really, really well for the context of it, because it kind of is a fairy tale story just set in an urban environment, using characters that really, I have every issue of first issue special, and they weren't interconnected. Each one was its own little story, and it was almost like what was Marvel's book where they sort of like tried out Marvel
Fanfare,
Spotlight,
Premiere. They did a lot of those different series.
It's sort of DC's let's throw pasta at the wall and see what sticks.
Right? Yeah, a lot of original stuff, a lot of bonker, the Dingbats themselves.
Is that a Jack Kirby creation?
It's a Jack Kirby creation. Yeah,
I figured. Yeah. Some of them I knew. I mean, I knew Warlord, I knew Darkseid, the New Gods characters. I didn't recognize this Starman.
This is the David Bowie Starman. This is the sort of rock and roll. Well, he was used to great effect in the Starman series from the 90s with it's Mikhail or Mikhail, however it's pronounced. But yeah, the blue one. Yeah, he's super cool. Yeah, and his buddy cop stuff with Warlord is a pleasure. But anyway, we'll get to all that.
Yeah, so, absolutely. Yeah. Well, one thing I'm going to say in my initial thoughts of this particular book, and I'm just going to throw it out here. I think this is genuinely the first Tom King book that I've read on this particular show that I feel had a happy ending. Most of these ones, and I sat there for a few seconds and I said to myself, well, if you really read Mr. Miracle in the way that, you're supposed to, I guess that also has a kind of quote-unquote happy ending. But I feel like the shroud over the entire Mr. Miracle series of whether or not he's actually just dead ruins any sort of idea of it having a happy ending at the end. But this is truly a story that has a genuine fairy tale happy ending for all of the characters involved. Mm-hmm. The bad guys
the two kids who died.
What kids that died? Who died?
Two of the green team. Two of the green team died.
Yeah, they were bad guys. They were bad guys.
And the one green team member is in jail, so it wasn't a happy ending for him.
Yeah. He's a bad guy, too. The bad guys got their just desserts. The good guys.
And the High Father died. The High Father died.
You guys are terrible. You didn't think it was a happy ending, J.A.?
Yes, it was a happy ending. Very saccharine.
Yeah.
It wrapped everything up in a bow.
Yeah.
Did you not like it?
Yeah, it was okay. I guess. I mean, I think Mr. Miracle had a happy ending. Well, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I mean, if the two knights, Manhunter and Codename Assassin, I thought their issue where they killed each other and then ended up in death, continuing their debate on and on, one guy without a leg. That to me was my happy ending. That was my favorite issue.
That's issue 9, and it's probably my single favorite issue of a comic in the past, maybe 10 years.
Yeah, wow. I can see why. Tom King really flexes in that. He's deadlifting at least 500 pounds of philosophy right there. It's crazy.
I picked up more of a Princess Bride vibe on that one. Well, if this happens, I went, oh, you thought that, but in fact, it means I won. And never go in against the Sicilian when death is on the line and all that other kind of stuff.
And a bit of Monty Python's Holy Grail as well, You've lost a leg, sir. No, it's just a flesh wound.
I knew that issue would be hit or miss with a lot of people. And this comic actually does something that I generally hate in comics in a way that makes me love it. I can't stand when characters have conversations when they're kicking the shit out of each other in comics. I hate it. I know that it was big in Stan's way of doing things because the artist wanted to draw action and Stan wanted to write words. So, people talk a lot, full sentences when they're getting punched in the mouth. But and this kind of takes that trope in a way and spins it in a way that actually made me love it because they're having a deep conversation while they are just beating the hell out of each other. And they pause occasionally here and there to take some breaths and do it's kind of the gentlemanly sort of way of doing it. But they still do that trope. And I found myself really, really enjoying it in this case, when generally I would usually hate it. Like, Batman is not going to say a couple of lines of dialogue, and the Riddler's not going to have a witty retort when his jaw's broken. It's just not going to happen. But in this, it just works for me. I don't know what it was. That's the only word I can think of is just riveting. Like, it's just, yeah.
And from a presentation standpoint, every page is 8 panels, and there's nothing but dialogue. I think the last panel of the last page says "to be continued," but everything else is just straight dialogue, word bubbles. So it's very different from every other issue in the comic book. It doesn't have fade at the beginning or the end. The whole thing is treated as a bit of a pause before we get into the final story arc, the last 3 issues.
It's like the fight itself. It's very methodical.
Yeah. It's like a little intermission before the third act. That's all you need. And it really is good. But I want to kind of pivot to Chad, because we were talking about Danger Street leading up, and Chad had all these issues and he put it aside, and he's like, I'm going to hold off on reading Danger Street until it's time for the show. And so finally Chad reads it. And I want to know, Chad, did you like it?
I don't know. And I know Mikey in particular clued us in how issue 9 was one of his favorite issues. And I was like, all right, Mikey, you have a job in front of you, because I don't know if I liked this book. And I could see myself being swayed one way or the other. Like, there are definitely parts of it I enjoyed, and there are parts that I actively disliked, but I don't know as a whole if it lands for me. And so our conversation today is very important to me, because it's going to help me figure out that I waste my money buying all these Black Label books when I could have been buying something else instead.
All right, Mikey. It's time now for Danger Street Court.
Well, I mean, it depends. It's like I think that it's I personally like King's take on these DC characters, and on any DC character. And what makes this book sort of a little bit more accessible is that certain books that he wrote, like, at the end of Heroes in Crisis, for instance, everybody was up in arms because of what happened with Wally West, because people love Wally West. And then in his DC run, everybody was up in arms about what happened with Alfred, because everybody loves Alfred. This series is primarily characters that really haven't been, there was a Green Team miniseries a few years ago, but it was a different Green Team. For the most part, these were sort of failed characters, except for Dr. Fate and Warlord and Metamorpho, the New Gods. This version of the New Gods was the Jerry Conway version of New Gods. It was like just one shot, and it was kind of like you said, throwing things to see if they would stick and spin off, and not many of them did. Like, you've got the Outsiders, but it's not the Outsiders. It's a group of like mutated sort of, and that was another Jack Kirby kind of thing.
Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
I thought the whole time they were talking about the Outsiders, and then Batman shows up in the one issue. I was just like, oh, okay, finally we get an outsider.
No, different.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right, Mikey. I didn't have a stake in any of these folks. I didn't even have a stake in people like Warlord, who I genuinely like. He's a big favorite of my my brother. And even his character, at the end of the day, they shot him, but they brought him back.
Yeah.
So, nothing matters. Like, again, it's that happy ending thing. It was a denouement that, like, you can read it, you can go through the 12 issues, and did it have any impact on anything? Not really, no. So it was just a happy little yarn.
I will say, I do have a crush on Lady Cop now, though.
Yeah, Lady Cop's cool. I should say, I made a mistake. Outsiders was Joe Simon, not Jack Kirby.
Okay.
Which,
the people that worked on those first issue specials, like, it's a murderer's row of talent.
That was a Marty Pasco, Walt Simonson, Dr. Fate issue. That was Mike Grell with is it the first appearance of Warlord? It is,
It is, yeah. And then he got his own book later on. Mm-hmm. Which I thought Warlord was just a Mike Grell thing. Like, I didn't think he was a DC character proper. Yeah, so I was surprised they included him here.
Yeah, he belongs to them. He's just here for some reason. Do they mention why he's not there anymore?
He just says that he left. He wanted to join the Justice League. He's like, hey, I could have stayed and hung out with my,
You want to be Superman.
my half-naked wife and fought barbarians, but somehow I wanted to join the Justice League. Yeah, I didn't understand why he became like Starman's friend, ? Like that didn't make a lot of sense, other than it was for the story. And I was just like, okay, I'll just accept it.
They're besties. They're like just a couple of misfits traveling the world, because they're the R2D2 and C3PO of this story. You almost see a little bit of a Blue Beetle Booster Gold vibe between the two, except for, Starman's very angsty sort of, but they just wanted to do the right thing. I found a lot of things clever, a lot of plot points clever. The whole thing with Metamorpho selling one of his limbs.
Yeah, the diamond arm.
Brilliant. Like, who thinks of that shit? Like, that's absolutely brilliant, What
about Creeper's turn as, like, Tucker Carlson there? Like, that was...
I had an issue with the New Gods bit. I thought that was not needed. And you could have told the entire story without the whole dark side and the High Father. I didn't think you needed that bit of it. I mean, you could have had Atlas, the Earth is falling, but you don't need this whole... I mean, even Orion shows up and doesn't do much but get drunk and wear a very cool T-shirt. I will admit, his Dark Side is T-shirt is very, very cool. I want one of those T-shirts, but I didn't think that added much to the story.
Well, I think it's just because they were in the last issue of First Issue Special, so I think he wanted to pull everybody that was involved in that.
You don't think it added some stakes to the whole thing? Like, even if the New Gods were upset about what was happening, then we should take this super seriously. Like, and I really did love the ending where you got Lord Chaos come in and they're like, they're the New Gods. Let them go around the block a couple times, forget about swapping kids and doing all this other garbage.
Yeah, I like that. I think it works really well with Mr. Miracle, actually. I think it Orion in this is that Orion. Like, it's that guy all over it. Like, I think they work well. I wouldn't say it's a sequel or anything like that, but I think they work really well together. But that's just because I like that. And I like that they made the Green Team the bad guys, because the Green Team is pretty absurd. The Dingbats of Danger Street is just another Kid Gang Jack Kirby book. They might as well have been the Newsboy Legion or whatever, any other numbers. And he did do more Dingbat stories that never saw print until, like, the World of Jack Kirby or something. It's like almost like a fanzine that comes out. There's a collected edition called Dingbats in Love, which is all of the other Dingbat stories that he did. Which I haven't been able to find at a price I'm willing to pay for it, because dingbats. But I don't think it's necessary to read First Issue Special first. And I remember when they announced this, I got all excited because I have like doubles of some of those issues, and I thought, I'll make out on eBay. But needless to say, nobody's in the market for the First Issue Special.
But I'm going to issue that as a challenge to Chad. So he should get them boards and bagged and put them in his box, which he could get through using our promo code LCSPOD. That's right. BCWsupplies.com. That is correct. But on the front, you have the issue of Danger Street, and on the back, you have the corresponding issue of First Issue Special.
Yeah.
That was actually my point. I've been thinking of what Mikey, you start off by saying, I thought this was really accessible. I actually felt like DC dropped the ball big time in here, simply because on the inside of the first page, they would have like the negative scans of the pages from First Issue Special, which would introduce these characters. But give me a friggin' synopsis or a blurb to tell me who these people are. Tell me why that kid is so obsessed with grapes. Do grapes do anything? Like, is it just the red grapes? Is it any kind of grape?
Seedless? I mean, are they seedless grapes? I like the green grapes, personally.
I do.
I like a lot of the grapes, but I didn't understand. Like, there were so many opportunities to give context to some of these characters that could have easily been done. And I know Tom King is going to Tom King and take these guys and do what he wants with them. When Tom King works, like, I'm all for that. And when I'm invested in characters, like, I can be like, I don't know, I like that. But I don't care about any of these. Even the characters that I knew, like Dr. Fate and Metamorpho, like, I didn't have a super huge background in those guys. You can play fast and loose with those characters. But, boy, like, I just felt like, man, I am lost here. It would have been nice to not make me have to go and Wikipedia things on my own.
Oh.
Wasn't going to do that.
No, Chad, come on. The only thing I got lost on was in the first issue. For some bizarre reason, I thought the Green Team and the Dingbats were the same people. For some bizarre reason, I just thought they were the same people. So the Green Team, the Dingbats from the future, like, is that how we're working here? And then, like, I was like, no, they're just different people. They're just two groups of teens. And then there's this other group of teens with the outsiders, and they all played this game, which I thought was kind of cool. And then you find out that it was just all like a chaos thing, and I'm just like, oh, that's even super neat. I don't know. Like, after a while, to your point, Chad, like, this was Tom King at his best, where he took a bunch of characters that nobody cared about, and he just told a story with them, and you're just like, fine.
I didn't know the assassin's name. It was driving me crazy.
It didn't matter. His name was Bob, Jim, Gordon. What the hell, dude? It doesn't matter. He was cool guy that had mental powers. He could create a sword out of, like, I don't know, diamond.
What the hell are those? He's just got purple. Dude.
Yeah. His name is Jonathan Drew is what his name is. And he's a telekinetic. In the original story, he is like seeking revenge for his sister. But none of those stories, they're not necessary to read before this because the characters are different. I mean, the characters are the same characters, but they're written in a much different kind of manner. Like they don't. I mean, you got to understand. Like this is 1974 and 75, I think, or just 75 or something when these came out. But they are interesting because like the Lady Cop issue is just a crime issue. Like there's no superheroes involved whatsoever. The Manhunter thing. This is the Mark Shaw Manhunter, which they used later on in like 89, 90. He had his own book going on for a while. I don't think having a background on the characters is necessary.
I thought Atlas was Baby Darkseid. I didn't know.
I didn't know who Atlas was. It was like, is that Atlas? Atlas? Like Greek Atlas? Is Hercules going to show up? No, wait, he's a Marvel guy. So I can sympathize with you, Chad, because it took me a couple of issues to get into it, to really care. Like the first two issues, I was just reading and confused. I spent 2 issues confused and having to go to Wikipedia. And if I'm reading something and confused and having to go to Wikipedia, I reckon that is a mark of a book that needs help.
I reckon as well.
See, that was my thought. When we came into this show, I thought because J.A. hasn't read as much DC that he was going to be the one being like, who's this character? Who's this character? Why is this character? And going on the Wikipedia. I didn't know you were doing it, Chad. I thought you were just like, whatever, I'm along for the ride. Like I was. Like I am very surprised that this is becoming such a thing with you. Like usually you're just like, who cares who these people are? Is it a good story? I mean, was it a good story?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where I come from that differs from you guys a lot when we read. I think it's because I have like screaming attention deficit disorder and I forget things almost instantaneously. But I come into every book just like I don't give a single shit about continuity. I don't care. And that's why I think I like the Tom King stuff so much, is because he doesn't care about it either. So
no. I listen, I understand that, and honestly, Mikey, I'm not a continuity wonk. Yeah. But my whole thing was just I was lost at times as to who's on what side, who's this. What is Warlord's thing? Like, just give me that little blurb. Help me get my feet in there, because it was really hard for me to figure out where I was, other than I like Lady Cop.
She is
everybody
awesome.
Everybody likes Lady Cop.
She is awesome, yeah. And I wonder if they're going to do anything with her. It kind of reminds me of when, I don't know, I can't remember who did it back in Marvel, but they dusted off Night Nurse and started using her for a bunch of shit. I think when Bendis brought out Dakota North, that's another one. Like Dakota North had that wonderful but failed miniseries by Tony Salmons and whoever wrote it, I can't remember. And I think a lot of these companies there's bunches and bunches of obscure characters that you could take out and make something really great with. But like not everything's going to land with everybody. It's not like you're like, this sucks and you don't provide any reasoning. Like you're providing logical reasons why it didn't land for you, because you had no background, you didn't give a shit about them. I suppose it was like every issue I was reading, I was like, I want to find out more about these kids. Like what else is going to come out? And it does that too. It does the Fury Road storytelling thing where it kind of tells the story as it goes along. if you've ever seen Fury Road, you know nothing. It is a 2-hour car chase where all of the exposition comes during, this kind of had that vibe for me. And it does have sort of a happy ending to fit in with the fairy tale kind of stuff.
Hold on, wait. I don't want to harp on the things that I don't like, because like I said, I still feel like there's an opportunity for media to appreciate this, but it's coming at you from a lot of levels. You got the kids, you got the misfit kids, you got the millionaire kids, you got Blue Star Man who his power starts going wonky. Was there a reason why, other than just he was in that fight?
He's an alien. I don't know if that has anything to do with it. Yeah. All
right, but that's what I mean. Like, stuff would just happen, and I'd be like, why is that happening? And then
I've reread it. I know who he is now, and I still don't understand why Atlas shows up and just is freaking out that the sky is falling. But he's the one who's meant to hold up the sky, and then just smashes Metamorpho into lots of diamonds and gets killed. To me, that was a product of Tom King needing to start the story somewhere, as opposed to having any logical reason why it would happen.
Yeah, just plot device.
Yeah. This is just bad. That's bad plot devising then.
No, it's chaotic. The whole thing is a story told between order and chaos. Come on. There's a lot of stuff that happens in this book that's just chaotic because Lord Chaos is throughout all of this. Come on. We're going to get to commercial break. You're going to be in a bunch of Scrooges. We'll be right back with more ratings of Danger Street. Stay tuned for that.
Have they no poorhouses? Have they no
workhouses?
Yeah. Why don't these dingbats just get good jobs?
Looking to save money on your collectible supplies? Whether it's comics, cards, sports memorabilia, or miscellaneous pop culture bric-a-brac, make sure to use promo code LCSPOD to get 10% off your orders at bcwsupplies.com. Not only does it get you a discount on BCW's already low prices, but using LCSPOD at checkout is an amazing way to show support to the Last Comic Shop podcast, the most incredible comic book podcast on the airwaves. So if you are in need of collectible supplies, head out to bcwsupplies.com and use promo code LCSPOD today. That's promo code LCSPOD. Cheers!
You know what I think? This world we're in right now is the fairy tale. And what's really real is on the other side.
Ramsey, mechanic by day, aspiring comic book creator by night, went into the woods and tripped. He was bombarded by bizarre and mysterious glyphs that he drew into his sketch pad and onto the body of his muse, Regina.
Oh, groovy! Your art is crawling all over me.
Shit. What is going on with you?
What's going on with you? All of a sudden, you're a complete drip, baby. Maybe you need another limb to the head. Ah!
Bloom, written and created by Ted Sikora, with art by Butch Mappa.
How are you feeling, Ram Man?
You've never experienced a story so astonishing, so far out and away from the beaten path.
Where in the am I?
Blast off with Bloom, the origin of a prophet. Order yours at herotomorrow.com.
Oh, we're back with more of The Last Comic Shop, and it is now time for ratings, where you don't have to put out milk and cookies for us, unless maybe Mikey would like them, but the rest of us, we're okay. We're all right with just giving 1 out of 4 scale to you, with nothing really in exchange. It would be nice if you thought of us. I mean, we've got promo code LCSPOD, 10% off your comic book order over at BCW Supplies. Use it. Could be a good Christmas gift to us. Otherwise, here's a rating scale from J.A. Scott, free of charge. J.A., what are we rating Danger Street?
All right, we're going to bring some order to the chaos that is Danger Street. And it's 1 out of 4 diamond arms.
Ooh. Did you like it better as an arm or a sword, J.A.?
as an arm, because it was all, crusty and thing-like, and it was Metamorpho's arm. I mean, when it was a sword, it just looked like a white sword. It didn't look diamond-y anymore.
I kind of like the sword, but hey, it's just me. I'm going to go ahead and go first. And I'm going to go ahead and give this a solid 3.85. That's right. As close to a 4 as I can, and that's just simply because I'm comparing it to other Tom King books. I do that often on this show. Go back and listen to any of our other Tom King episodes, and I always say, and I really do believe it, that Tom King is one of my favorite writers in comic books, and it's kind of like reading a Stephen King book. I'm always going to enjoy a Tom King book, just like I always enjoy a Stephen King book. But there are some Stephen King books I like more than other ones. And so is this in that rarefied atmosphere like Mr. Miracle? No, that's a true 4. That is the cream of the crop. That is the best of the best. But this is pretty damn good, and you know why it's pretty damn good? Because it has a happy ending. I can't say that enough. It was the first book in a really long time that I walked away from, that Tom King penned, that I said, okay, I can sleep well tonight. Good guys won, bad guys lost. Everybody ended up being okay in the end. It's just nice. It's a nice feeling. So thank you, Tom King, for giving me a Christmas present, and not just giving me something that was depressing and filled with angst and worry and woe, especially this year. Really do appreciate that. A nice little fairy tale to put me to bed on my Christmas Eve is just what I was looking for. 3.85. Chad.
Yeah, I am not as sold on this one. I don't know. Andy will often compare things as like, oh, that's like peanut butter and chocolate. And here's my thing. I think that Tom King is like chocolate, and Jorge Fornes is like goldfish, like cheddar goldfish. Both delightful, both delicious, but at the same time, I would enjoy them both, I think, paired up with somebody else. Get some pretzels or some peanut butter or whatever. I don't know. But I kind of like, I'm reading this, and I don't dislike this book. But man, do I think, boy, would I have enjoyed Jorge Fornes somewhere else. Boy, would I have enjoyed Tom King taking the time to give a little bit more for these characters. And so that really was a hindrance of my enjoyment. But was it well done? Yes, it was well done. There's a level of quality and expectation that you can have with a Tom King book. I agree with Andy. Rarely are they going to disappoint. But I don't see myself going back to this one. I don't see myself caring about any of the dingbats or the manhunters, which is good because the dingbats are just left holding up the earth. Spoiler. That is a weird spoiler, but there it is. The New Gods stuff, I didn't know why the New Gods were involved in here. I like Jorge Fornes' style so much. He has that Dave Mazzucchelli style to him. But rarely does he get to let loose in this book because it's so bound by the order. I want to see him in more chaos, right? And I feel like Tom King is actually holding him back with stories like this. So, yeah, it sounds like I really didn't like this book. I thought it was fine. It's fine. But it's not great. It's not up to the level that it could be if we paired either of these two primary players with something else more suited to their flavors. But so yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3 diamond metamorpho limbs. It's not bad. It's just not that level of greatness that I would expect from both of these players here.
All right, Mikey, you're up next.
Yeah, I don't think we've talked about his art on this book enough, but he's a phenomenal artist. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I would probably say it's a strong 3.5, maybe. I think it would be a 3, but that 9th issue is so freaking good. So I'm going to make it a nice 3.5. I really, really enjoy it, but it's not. I don't know if it's as top a tier as Mr. Miracle is obviously the top tier of things. I love his Batman run and Batman Catwoman. I love all that stuff. Yeah, I think it's a good, middle of the road sort of thing. It's not as confusing to me as Rorschach was. I mean, Rorschach could be interpreted a bunch of different ways. And sometimes, sometimes I do understand that King might be a little too clever for his own good, and that might bite him on the ass sometimes when he's telling stories. But yeah. I mean, it's something I enjoy, and it's beautiful to look at, like my wife.
All right, J.A., round us out here. What are you giving it?
I think I agree with Mikey Wood there and Chad for the most part, though I did like Fornes's art. I thought when he was able to stretch a bit, the sort of using full pages, or he had a couple layouts where he'd do the full page like a cityscape, and then he'd overlay the creeper in his television form, showing sort of what he was talking about on TV. I thought that was interesting. It is very squarey. The layouts, everything's a rectangle or a square. I guess a square is a rectangle.
It's all math.
Yes. It took a while to get into the story. I felt like I needed to know something about the characters, and I don't know, especially I did not understand the whole Atlas New Gods thing. I thought that was unneeded to tell a story, and I get why he did it. As you say, Mikey Wood, he wanted to get in all these characters from the original first issue special. So, yeah, it's a 3.5 for me. Is it the best Tom King writing? No, but that issue 9 is incredible, and I so enjoyed it. And as I got more into it, I felt, I want to see what's happening. Then I felt like I had some stakes in it. I wanted to know what was going on. But it did take a couple of issues, and some of the characters I cared more about than other ones. I really liked Manhunter. I could really care less about Warlord. This guy is Chris Christopherson walking around. Not to say that I don't love Chris Christopherson, because who doesn't love Chris Christopherson? Rest in peace. So it's a 3.5 for me. Not the best Tom King I've read, but certainly not the worst.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of neat that we got two really pretty cool Manhunters in the month of December this year. From between Golden Age and now this book, I was just, Manhunter. He might be my character for 2025. But as you may or may not know, on this show, we have now done a ton of Tom King books, 8 of them in total. We are going to go ahead, before we get to commercial break, and get our updated ratings for how we would rank them out of the books that we have read. So, J.A., before we start, let's go ahead and get the list from you, and then, you go ahead and put them in order.
All right. Well, we read 8, as you said, and here is the series we read in reading order. First Vision, then Strange Adventures, then Rorschach, then Mr. Miracle, then Human Target, then Gotham City Year 1, then Wonder Woman, and that's the new ongoing series, and then Danger Street. So 7 of the 8 were maxi series, with Wonder Woman being the only ongoing series of King's that we've read.
All right. How are you ranking them, buddy?
Okay, so going down from, I don't want to say worst to first, but 8th to the best. I start out with Rorschach. It just didn't really land for me. Followed by Strange Adventures, which I thought was okay, but Gotham City Year 1, it just had some issues with sort of some of the plot devices in there. And then Danger Street, which I really enjoyed, but again, as we just discussed, some things missing. Wonder Woman, I actually had lower and have moved up a bit because of that great issue of Wonder Woman and Superman off in space looking for a birthday present for Batman. I love that issue. Vision, I thought was just great, but I could never really connect as much as I did with the last 2. Human Target, just incredible art, incredible storytelling. Playing, again, with characters I didn't know going in. I didn't know a lot of the JLI characters, so maybe that's why I didn't care that he just went fast and loose with some of their characterizations, but a great story. And then Mr. Miracle in my top spot.
Okay.
Well, real quick, I have to ask, did you ever follow up on JLI and read any of those things? Did you?
I did. I started. I'm loving it.
It's a great book. It's such a great book. It's so fun.
Chad, you're up.
Okay, I'm going to start at the bottom with Gotham Year 1, where I was disappointed with that one. Rorschach is next for me. I didn't like Rorschach. Danger Street, we just talked about, was just fine. And then we go to Strange Adventures, which I thought was a wonderful swing, but I don't know if it connected totally, where we had the half Mitch Gerard's art and then the half Doc Shaner art. Like, it was a great idea, but I feel like something fell just a little flat there. And then we get into the things that I would gush about. The number 4 spot for me would be that Wonder Woman ongoing, which I really enjoyed that. I thought that was tons of fun. Number 3 for me is Human Target, which just embodied that noir cool. Number 2 is Marvel's Vision. That was wonderful. And then my number 1 remains probably my favorite modern comic book is that Mr. Miracle. I love that book so much. I reread it every year. Every time I go through, I still have questions. It's just the best.
All right, Mikey, you're up next.
Okay, so this is hard. This is like, putting kids in order of who I like the most. But oh God. So okay, probably Rorschach and Strange Adventures for me are the bottom 2. But I mean I enjoy them, but like as far as total package, and I think Strange Adventures, I just need to read it again. It's been a long time since I read it, so I think I just need to read it again. And then probably Danger Street is next in line there, so that's 3. How many do we have? Then it would be, I guess if I have to, oh God, probably, I don't know, man. Why do you ask me these things? So then I would put Gotham City Year One 4th, just because the twist I thought was interesting and stuff, but it was a little bit ham-fisted. But I did the package was nice because I really like Phil Hester and everything like that. Then Wonder Woman, then Vision, and then this is really hard. Mr. Miracle, and then Human Target.
Wow, Human Target over Mr.
But like just a bit, just because I really like that style of storytelling, and I really like that era of JLI a lot. Okay. And that's really all. Like they're so close. Like they're so close. And I've already changed my mind. So those 2 are so close. Yeah.
All right. Well, we got a show wrap up. So here is my definitive 8-1. I'm going to put it in the 8 slot. The Wonder Woman run. I don't know. I just don't like Tom King ongoings. Just don't. Like, I think he works better in maxi series, maybe. Number 7 is going to be Strange Adventures. I really liked the flashback parts. Boy, with the Doc Shaner art. Oh, boy, I wish that was the whole series, but the rest of it, whatever. Next up, probably Gotham City Year One. Was pretty good, but still in that bottom half. Then I'm going to go with probably Danger Street. I got to put Danger Street there because, I mean, again, the top 4 for me are pretty definitive. Next would come Rorschach. I don't know why you guys hated Rorschach so much. I love that book. I really did. I thought it was a great mystery from beginning to end. Human Target comes next. Vision comes number 2. And, of course, Mr. Miracle is Tom King's absolute greatest work and will always be. I'm sorry, Tom, you're not going to write a better book than Mr. Miracle. You're not. You could, maybe, but I'll always be like, not as good, yo. Not as good as Mr. Miracle. That's your magnum opus, buddy. That's your magnum opus from the host with the most. All right, we'll be right back with more of The Last Comic Shop because Mr. Santa Mikey himself is going to be stopping by the shop. We got to let him get a second to change. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
What happens when 20-something Madison is zapped into old-time radio shows? No technology.
I want to go to voicemail.
No Starbucks.
Don't call yourself a coffee shop if you only sell drip coffee.
And no one is PC.
I don't need no lip from.
Were you about to say woman? Because I'm wearing a gun and I have no idea how to use it.
Madison on the Air serves to highlight the way we were and the way we are today with original radio drama scripts adapted to include the modern-day Madison as she joins famous characters from radio's past, including Sergeant Joe Friday.
Just the facts, ma'am.
I've never actually said that.
Marshal Matt Dillon.
We're not having a shootout with a 10-year-old kid.
I'm too woke to be a part of this.
Superman.
I didn't realize how cold it would be flying like this.
I have to get into the higher atmosphere.
And many more. Visit us on the web at MadisonOnTheAir.com or find us pretty much any place podcasts can be found.
You talk so old-timey. I have no idea what you said, but it's adorbs.
LastComicShopPodcast.com is the destination for all things shop. Plan your week with upcoming show schedules, the latest books, recommendations, and chatter from the crew. Subscribe to the show on all major podcasting platforms from one convenient location. Show your support and browse the merch store. T-shirts, tanks, hoodies for the fam, coffee mugs, magnets, totes, and more. Check out exclusive content through the show's YouTube channel and follow the pod on Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, and others. All this and so much more at www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com. www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Zach Williams, son of the late Robin Williams. While the holidays are a joyful time of year, they can also remind us of what we have lost, who won't be with us at the table, or what isn't going right in our lives when the world around us seems to be full of cheer. I'm here to tell you that there is help and there is hope. If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline connects you to trained crisis counselors 24/7. You are not alone in crisis. Call or text 988 or chat at 988lifeline.org.
Ho, ho, ho! Boys and girls, it is time for Santa Mikey to reach into his bag of tricks. I was told I legally can't call it his sack this year. So I have to reach into his bag of goodies and see what I have to symbolically give to these lads, because I ain't got the money to buy this shit for real. But anyway.
Also, a note from HR, please don't in future refer to your things as goodies.
That's right.
Carry on.
Oh my God, that's right. I've already gotten written up enough times this year. So anyway, if given unlimited budget, and if I were the big red man up north, what would I give my beautiful three co-hosts that, as thanks for inviting me to share this space with them? So first and foremost, I think I should go with the host with the most. He calls himself that. We just call him Andrew. And what I would get you is actually Kevin Conran's Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow art book that they put out a few years ago. It's the Art of Tomorrow. It's a beautiful hardcover. I don't know if you already have it, but it's a beautiful hardcover that features all of the production art and advertising art that was created for the film Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow, which I think you appreciate as much as I do.
I do. I absolutely do. It's amazing how they filmed that movie. And it's actually more amazing that everybody I run into thinks that's a comic book movie. They're like, "Isn't there a Sky Captain comic?" I'm like, "No."
Nope. Short of a little promo that they did.
Exactly.
Which, if you don't have it, I have multiples. I could send you one. But yeah, and it was way ahead of its time, that movie. It was all filmed in green screen and digital, and people either warmed up to it or just were completely cold to it. So fortunately, he never he was going to do a Buck Rogers movie or Flash Gordon or one or the other, and it never came to pass. Or John Carter. He was going to do John Carter of Mars is what he was going to do. And that version never came to pass. But the art book is beautiful. There's a beautiful slipcase version of it. Whether or not it's still available, I do not know, but I have it sitting there over my shelf, and it's gorgeous. And that's what I would give you for Christmas, and I have the ability to. So
thank you.
So yes, you're very welcome. And next up for Chattington Bear, my dear friend Chattington Bear, I will gift you the artist's edition of Bravo for Adventure, which is a beautiful, gigantic artist edition book of Alex Toth's comic Bravo for Adventure, so you could gaze upon the glory that is with Alex Toth. Giant pages. I don't know if you like the Alex Toth, but someday, if you don't, this will make you fall in love with it.
Oh, I love it. I'm totally unfamiliar with the Bravo, but I know Alex Toth from Space Ghost and Super Friend Designs, and I was just I had my best day ever fishing through the buck bins. I had like 20 minutes. I stopped by after work, and I found a Green Lantern with a Gil Kane cover and Alex Toth on art on the inside. I found Frank Miller doing Captain Marvel. I found Steve Ditko doing Captain Marvel. I found a Jack Kirby Commandy, and it was just like all these greats, for $1 a piece. I spent like $12, but I was like, oh, the quality of art in these $12 worth of books. Oh, it's great. Good day. But yeah, Toth was part of that. I was super pumped.
Yeah, beautiful. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. And for dear, sweet J.A., last year I got somebody a bit of, I think it was Andrew. I gave him a prose book, and you'd think that I threw feces at his face the way he reacted. So I'm going to do that for you this year, and I'm going to give you a prose book, and maybe track it down if you want. It's called It's Superman by Tom DeHaven, and it is an incredible retelling of the Superman legend set in the 1930s by Tom DeHaven, he who wrote Funny Papers and Derby Dugan, things like that, which you may or may not be familiar with. But it's an incredible, incredible book that is Superman stripped down to like his basics and brought about in a new way that feels brand new and at the same time nostalgic and wonderful. And there's lots of keen twists there, and I really would I think you would get a kick out of that. So
thank you very much. I will check it out. I was just having a look on Amazon. It's not on Kindle, so I will have to find a paperback copy of it somewhere and have it sent.
Yeah, I have a hardcover copy that I love, and it turns out that a mutual Facebook friend and artist, Rob Ullman, lives around the corner from Tom, and saw me writing about it once, and said, "Hey, if you send it to me, I'll get him to sign it," and he did, and it's really, really nice, and it's also the one thing that, if given the opportunity to adapt as a comic, our buddy Howard Chaykin would do in an instance, but DC unfortunately just didn't support this at all. It's a shame because it's really, really charming, and I really, really think you'd enjoy it. So,
all right. Well, one other thing that is awesomely charming is Mikey Wood. Thank you so much, Mikey, for being our Santa Claus on our Christmas Eve show, and we hope that you come back next year for a ton of episodes. Mikey, will you promise us? Will you give us that present for sure? Will you be back in 2025, sir?
Yes, and I promise to wear pants this year. I promise to mostly wear pants. We'll cross that bridge. I mean, I promise.
There you go. Now, we should group huddle, though. Mikey keeps giving us all this stuff. What would we get for Mikey? I have an idea.
Okay.
Ooh.
So it's something it's a little bit more modern. I don't know if he's been picking it up, but he should. It's a Tom King book. Andy's been writing poetry about it. J. Andrew Scott has been helping him find the quotes. You think that'd be a good fit?
Oh, I think so. Yes.
All right. So our gift to you, Mikey, will be Tom King's latest miniseries that had just wrapped up, Helen of Windhorn.
Yes.
Have you seen this?
I have 5 of the issues, but I haven't read it yet. I'm waiting until I have all of them, just because I know Bilquis's artwork is Bilquis, just gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, and the story is wonderful. 6 issue just dropped. Make sure you pick that up and read that. But man.
Yeah, that's what we want you to do, Mikey. We want you to come back in 2025 and do that Tom King book with us. And you make sure that you don't miss that episode by going out to www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com, rate, reviewing, and subscribing so you never miss any of our episodes. Next week is our final episode of our 4th season. Chad will be here with our year-end review and data analysis, so stay tuned for that. We've got J.A.'s pick for DC Ember, which is New Frontier. So that is an awesome book with awesome Darwin Cook art. No, Mikey's a huge fan of that, so I'm sure he'll be listening. But yes, make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe. Leave us some great comments. It is the best present you can give us this holiday season.
And don't forget to check us out on the socials. We've made the big migration to the Threads and the Blue Skies. You can find us under Last Comic Shop, where you can find things like Golden Age covers to put you to bed at night, or collection videos, or rando Spider-Man video game commercials from the early 80s. That was a deep pull, sir. But all that and more waits for you on our socials. And then you can go to your local comic shop and find some of those things we've been talking about, including those recommendations that Mikey made this week. Not only Danger Street, the book we all read, but you can look for that Art of Tomorrow, the Sky Captain and the World of Tomorrow book that was for Andy, or the Bravo for Adventure, that artist edition by the Alex Toth. I forgot to mention I have some of those Toth Zorro strips.
Yeah.
They are beautiful. IDW put out a collection of those a while back, and they are wonderful. And finally, that prose novel, It's Superman by Tom DeHaven. All that and more waits for you at your local comic shops and bookstores. We want to make sure those places are all still around in the coming years. And then finally, speaking of things that will still be around, you can go back to www.lastcomicshoppodcast.com and find what else waiting for you there, J.A.
Well, we always have a link to our merch store where we sell t-shirts, coffee mugs, tote bags, hats. If you order now, you can probably get it before the 12 days of Christmas are up. That's right, we've got our Christmas special Last Comic Shop t-shirt. And this week only, you can get it with a Dr. Fate helmet. Maybe it'll use its little magic to either promote order or chaos, or tell a story.
That's just what the holidays need.
That is one of the few things, like, I would really, really like. Everybody wants, like, the Captain America shields or whatever. I would love a Dr. Fate helmet, man. That would be awesome. Like, it's still one of the coolest things in all of comics. So I'm all for that, man.
I reckon that's something that you could make. Just need to find some shiny gold spray paint and convert a Trojan helmet, take off the feather top, and just build out the front with some cardboard.
Well, I know what Jay's Halloween costume for next year is going to look like.
That's right. I didn't know you had it in you. A cosplay heart. In any case, well, one thing we hope everybody gets for Christmas is more comic books. And once you get those comic books, you're going to have a place to put them. J.A., Mikey, where can they put those comic books?
You can put those comics in boxes and bags and boards, and you can get them all at the same incredible location. Where would that be, J.A.?
BCWsupplies.com, where if you use the promo code LCSPOD at checkout, you can save 10%.
That's a bunch of percents.
That's right. It's a lot of percents. It's the Christmas season. You've been spending money on eggnog and stuff. Man, you need to save a little kizash here and there. Get your comic book supplies. Get those awesome bags, boxes, sweet card collecting stuff too. Shrugs. I don't know. I'm not into card collecting. Chad is. Chad does all the cards.
Credit cards. Cards. There's that one from Nana over here. I got to get boxed for that.
CWSupplies.com. Use the promo code LCSPOD. Save yourself 10% and make sure that you come back next week for New Year's Eve here at the Last Comic Shop. I promise to not have a poem for that, but I will have my co-hosts J.A. Scott and Chad Smith in tow. Until then, I was the host, Andy Larson, and I was joined by also Mikey Wood. Merry Christmas, Mikey. Merry Christmas to everybody. And God bless you, everyone.
Yay.
Please, sir, may I have another Rob Liefeld comic book?
You can have all of them.
The Last Comic Shop podcast was a 2024 Black Angus production.